The night sky burned with fire when first saw her. He was 23 years old and worked as a medic in a small clinic near the mountains of South Korea. The clinic was far from the cities, surrounded by forests and quiet villages. Most nights were peaceful, but this night was different. The war between alien races had come to Earth 3 months ago. Did not understand the war. He only knew that strange ships fought in the skies and sometimes their wreckage fell to the ground. The governments told people to stay inside. The military tried to keep order, but was a medic. When someone needed help, he could not look away. The crash happened 2 kilometers from his clinic. Saw the fireball fall from the sky and heard the explosion echo through the mountains. He grabbed his medical bag and ran into the darkness. The forest was thick with trees and shadows. Used his flashlight to find his way. The smell of smoke grew stronger as he walked. After 20 minutes, he found the crash site. The ship was small, maybe the size of a truck. It had torn through the trees and created a long trail of destruction. Fire burned in patches around the wreckage. Approached carefully, his heart beating fast. He did not expect to find anyone alive. But then he heard a sound, a weak voice speaking words he did not understand. Moved around the broken ship and found her. She was lying on the ground, half buried under metal debris. Her skin was pale blue, and her hair was silver like moonlight. She was tall, much taller than any human woman. Her body was covered in armor that looked like black metal mixed with something organic. The armor was cracked and broken in many places. Blood that looked purple flowed from wounds on her chest and legs. She was dying. Dropped to his knees beside her. Her eyes opened and looked at him. They were golden, like the eyes of a cat, and they burned with fierce light even as her life faded. She spoke again in her alien language. Her voice was weak but still carried strength. "I do not understand you," said, "but I am going to help you. Please stay still." She watched him with those golden eyes. Her hand moved toward a weapon at her side. She was a warrior, realized. Even dying, her first instinct was to fight. "No," said gently. He slowly moved her hand away from the weapon. "I am not your enemy. I am a healer. I want to help." She stared at him for a long moment. Then her hand relaxed. Her golden eyes stayed fixed on his face. Worked quickly. He could not move her alone, so he called his friend who owned a truck. Was scared when he saw the alien warrior, but he trusted. Together, they carried her to the truck and brought her to the clinic. The next 3 weeks changed life. He worked day and night to save her. Her biology was different from humans, but not completely different. She had blood, bones, muscles, and organs. Studied her wounds and figured out how to treat them. He cleaned infections, stitched cuts, and removed pieces of metal from her body. She was strong. Even badly wounded, her body healed faster than any human body could, but she still needed care. She still needed someone to watch over her. In the first few days, she could not move. She lay in the small, patient room of the clinic and watched everything did. She did not speak because he could not understand her language and she could not understand his, but her eyes followed him everywhere. Talked to her anyway. He told her his name. He told her about the clinic, about the mountains, about his life. He knew she did not understand the words, but he thought maybe his voice would comfort her. On the 5th day, she spoke her first word in his language. He looked up from his work, surprised. She was sitting up in bed, watching him with those golden eyes. She said again, she touched her chest, "Vila." "Vila," repeated. He smiled. "That is a beautiful name." She did not smile back. Her face remained serious and proud, but something softened in her eyes. From that day, they began to learn each other's languages. Vila learned faster than. Her mind was sharp, and she absorbed new words like water soaking into dry ground. Within a week, she could speak simple sentences. Within 2 weeks, she could have real conversations. Learned that she was a warrior commander from a race called the. Her people had been fighting a war against another alien race for centuries. Earth was caught in the middle of this war by accident. Vila's ship had been damaged in battle, and she had crashed here while trying to escape. "Your people," Vila said one evening. "They are weak, small bodies, no natural weapons, no armor." Was changing the bandage on her leg, he laughed softly. "Yes, humans are not very impressive." "Then why did you help me?" Looked up at her. "Because you needed help." Vila frowned. "I am not your ally, I am not your friend. I am a stranger from the sky, I could be your enemy." "But you are not my enemy," said simply. "You are a person who was hurt, I am a person who can help. That is enough reason." Vila was silent for a long time. She seemed to be thinking about his words very carefully. "My people would not do this," she finally said. "If a wounded enemy fell from the sky, we would kill them, or leave them to die. We would not waste resources on strangers." "That sounds lonely," said. Vila looked at him sharply. "It is efficient." "Maybe, but efficiency is not everything." Finished the bandage and sat back. "Humans are weak, yes. We cannot fight like your people. We do not have ships or weapons or armor, but we have each other. We help strangers because someday we might be strangers who need help. We show kindness because kindness makes life worth living." Vila did not answer, but her golden eyes stayed on his face for a very long time. As the days passed, something changed between them. Vila's wounds healed and she grew stronger. She could walk now, and she often stood by the window, looking out at the mountains and the sky. She was waiting for her people to find her or for a chance to return to the war. But she also spent time with. She watched him treat other patients, the local villagers who came to the clinic with small injuries and illnesses. She asked questions about human medicine, human customs, human beliefs. She was curious in a way that surprised. "You care for all of them," Vila said one day, watching bandage a child's scraped knee. "Even the weak ones, even the ones who cannot fight or work or serve any purpose." "Everyone serves a purpose," said. "Maybe not the purpose you expect, but everyone matters." "That is a strange belief." "Maybe, but I believe it anyway." Vila was quiet. Then she said, "I think I am starting to understand humans." At night, when the clinic was quiet, they would sit together and talk. Vila told about her home world, a planet of mountains and storms where the strong survived and the weak were left behind. She told him about her training, her battles, her victories. She was proud of her strength, proud of her skill as a warrior. But sometimes, late at night, she told him other things. She told him about the loneliness of command, the weight of sending soldiers to die, the emptiness that came after every battle. She had never spoken these things to anyone. Warriors did not show weakness. But within this small clinic far from the war, she found herself opening doors she had kept locked for years. Listened to everything. He did not judge her. He did not try to fix her. He just listened, and sometimes that was exactly what she needed. One night Vila gave him something. It was a small crystal, about the size of a coin, that glowed with soft blue light. The crystal was warm to the touch and seemed to pulse like a heartbeat. "Keep this," Vila said. "It is important." "What is it?" asked. Vila hesitated. For a moment she looked like she wanted to say more, but then she shook her head. "Just keep it, please." Put the crystal in his pocket. He did not understand its meaning, but he could see that it mattered to her. 3 days later, Vila was gone. Woke up to find her room empty. The bed was made, the bandages were folded neatly, and there was no sign of her anywhere. He searched the clinic, the forest, the crash site, but she had vanished like a ghost. She had not said goodbye. She had not left a note. She had simply disappeared into the night. Stood in her empty room for a long time. He felt something heavy in his chest, something he did not want to name. He had known this would happen. He had known she would leave. She was a warrior, and warriors return to war. But he had hoped for more time. He had hoped for a goodbye at least. He reached into his pocket and pulled out the crystal she had given him. It still glowed with soft blue light. It still felt warm against his skin. Did not know what the crystal meant. He did not know if he would ever see Vila again, but he kept it close always. He carried it with him every day, a small piece of light in his pocket, a reminder of the wounded stranger who had fallen from the sky. 10 years would pass before he learned the truth. 10 years before he understood what the crystal really meant. 10 years before Vila returned and spoke the words that would change everything. I never forgot you, human. But on that quiet morning, standing alone in the empty room, knew only that she was gone. And somewhere deep in his heart, he began to wait for a return that might never come. He went back to his work. He treated patients. He helped his village. He lived his life day by day, year by year, but he never stopped carrying the crystal, and he never stopped looking at the sky, wondering if somewhere out there, among the distant stars, a warrior with golden eyes was looking back. Vila stood on the command deck of her warship and looked at the stars. 10 years had passed since she left Earth, 10 years of battles, victories, and blood. She was no longer just a warrior commander. She was now Fleet Admiral Vila, leader of this greatest armada, hero of 100 battles. Her name was spoken with respect and fear across the galaxy. But inside her chest, something was missing, a piece of herself that she had left behind on a small, primitive planet called Earth. She thought about the human every day, the soft-spoken healer who had saved her life without asking for anything in return, the man who had shown her kindness when she deserved none. In 10 years, Vila had never stopped thinking about him. Admiral, the Council requests your presence. Vila turned to face her second-in-command, a young warrior named. He was tall and strong, with the pale blue skin and golden eyes of their race. He was loyal, skilled, and completely devoted to the cause. He was everything a warrior should be, but he was not. Tell the Council I will come shortly, Vila said. Nodded and left. Vila turned back to the window. The High Council was a group of ancient leaders who guided their race. They had called her back from the front lines of the war for a ceremony. The war against the Empire was finally ending. After 300 years of fighting, the had won. Peace treaties were being signed. The galaxy was entering a new age. Vila should have been happy. This was the victory she had fought her entire life to achieve, but instead she felt empty. She reached into a hidden pocket of her armor and pulled out a small object. It was a data chip, old and worn from years of handling. On this chip was everything she had been able to find about the planet Earth and its people. She had studied humans for 10 years. She had read their history, their stories, their science. She had learned about their wars, their art, their dreams. The more she learned, the more she understood what had tried to tell her. Humans were not weak, they were different. They did not have natural armor or claws. They did not heal fast or live long. By standards, they were fragile creatures, easy to break. But they survived anyway. They built civilizations on a planet that tried to kill them with storms, earthquakes, and disease. They reached for the stars even when they had no reason to believe they could touch them. They helped strangers, loved enemies, and died for causes bigger than themselves. Humans were impossibly, stubbornly alive, and they made each other stronger by caring for each other. Vila had never understood that before. Her people believed in strength through independence. Each warrior stood alone. Weakness was removed so the strong could survive. But it shown her another way, strength through connection, survival through compassion. The idea that protecting the weak made everyone stronger. It was a strange idea, a foolish idea by standards. But Vila could not stop thinking about it. She put the data chip away and walked to the council chamber. The High Council met in a great hall at the center of the capital city. The walls were made of black stone that absorbed light, and the ceiling rose so high it disappeared into shadow. 100 elders sat in curved rows, their golden eyes watching as Vila entered. Fleet Admiral Vela, the High Elder said. He was ancient, his blue skin faded to gray, his body supported by a floating chair. You have served our people with honor. The war is won. The surrender, peace has come at last. Vela bowed her head. I am honored to have served. As reward for your service, the Council grants you any request within our power. Name what you wish, and it shall be yours. Vela had prepared for this moment. She had thought about it for years. I wish to return to the planet called Earth, she said. A murmur went through the Council. The High Elder raised one thin hand for silence. Earth, he repeated. The primitive world where you crashed 10 years ago. Why would you return there? I left something behind, Vela said. Something important. We detected no valuable resources or technology at your crash site. Everything was recovered. It is not a thing, Vela said. Her voice was steady, but her heart was beating fast. It is a person. The Council murmured again, louder this time. A person, the High Elder leaned forward. A human, you wish to return for a human. Yes. Humans are a primitive species. They have no technology worth mentioning. They are short. Their bodies are weak. What possible value could a human have? Vela lifted her chin. She was Fleet Admiral Vela, hero of the... She had faced death 1,000 times without flinching. She would not flinch now. He saved my life, she said. When I crashed on Earth, I was dying. He found me and healed me. He asked for nothing. He expected nothing. He simply helped because I needed help. A primitive instinct, one of the Council members said. Their species has not evolved beyond basic tribal bonding. No, Vela said firmly. It was not instinct. It was choice. He knew I was alien. He knew I could be dangerous. He helped me anyway because he believed it was right. The Council was silent. I have fought for our people my entire life, Vela continued. I have killed thousands. I have watched my soldiers die. I have given everything for this war. Now the war is over and you ask what I want. She paused. I want to find the human who showed me that strength is not the only thing that matters. I want to understand why he helped me. I want to see if he still carries the I gave him. A shocked gasp went through the Council. You gave him the High Elder's voice was sharp. You gave a human your. Vela did not look away. Yes. Do you understand what that means? Among our people, it is given only to. I know what it means, Vela interrupted. I knew when I gave it to him. I have known for 10 years. The Council erupted into argument. Some elders shouted that this was unacceptable. Others demanded that Vela explain herself. The noise grew until the High Elder raised his hand again. Silence. The chamber went quiet. The High Elder studied Vela for a long moment. His ancient golden eyes held wisdom and something that might have been understanding. You are certain, he asked softly. A human life is short. He may already be dead. He may have forgotten you. He may not even understand the meaning of your gift. I am certain, Vela said. Then go. The High Elder nodded slowly. Find your human. Bring him back if he is willing. The Council will decide how to proceed from there. Vela bowed. Thank you, High Elder. She turned and walked out of the chamber. Her heart was pounding, but her steps were steady. After 10 years of waiting, she was finally going back. She was going to find. The journey to Earth took 3 weeks. Vela's warship was fast, but the galaxy was vast. She spent the time preparing, planning, and worrying. What if it changed? Humans changed so quickly. Their short lives meant they aged and grew and became different people in what felt like moments to What if he had forgotten her? Humans had limited memory. They could not hold centuries of experience in their minds. Perhaps 3 weeks with a wounded alien was not important enough to remember. What if he had lost or thrown it away, or never understood what it meant? Vela pushed these thoughts aside. Doubt was a weakness. She had not become Fleet Admiral by doubting herself. But late at night, alone in her quarters, the doubts came anyway. She remembered his face. his kind eyes, his gentle hands as he treated her wounds. She remembered his voice, soft and patient, explaining human customs she did not understand. She remembered the way he looked at her, not with fear or hatred but with simple human compassion. No one had ever looked at her that way before. Among them she was respected and feared. She was a weapon, a commander, a legend, but she was not loved. Warriors did not love. Love was a weakness that enemies could exploit. But had shown her something different. He had shown her that caring for someone did not make you weak, it made you human. And maybe, just maybe, being human was not such a bad thing. The warship dropped out of faster-than-light travel near Earth's solar system. Vila stood on the command deck and watched the small blue planet grow larger in the Earth looked peaceful from space. White clouds swirled over blue oceans and green land. It was a beautiful world, fragile and precious. Admiral said, "We are detecting human satellites and communication signals. They have advanced somewhat in the past decade." Vila nodded. "They are fast learners. Contact their governments. Inform them that we come in peace and request permission to land." The process took hours. Human bureaucracy was slow and complicated, but eventually permission was granted. A single shuttle could land in a designated area. Vila took the shuttle herself. She did not bring guards or weapons. She came alone, wearing simple robes instead of armor. She wanted to see her as she truly was, not as a warrior but as a person. The shuttle landed in a field outside a small coastal town. Vila had tracked its location using this energy signature. He was here, somewhere in this town. After 10 years, she was only minutes away from finding him. She stepped out of the shuttle and looked around. The air smelled like salt and flowers. The sun was warm on her skin. In the distance, she could see the ocean, blue and endless. It was beautiful. She understood why I had chosen to live here. She began to walk toward the town. Her heart was beating fast. Her hands were trembling slightly. For the first time in her life, Fleet Admiral Vila was afraid. Not afraid of battle, not afraid of death, but afraid that the man she had never forgotten might have forgotten her. She walked through the streets of the town. Humans stopped and stared at her. She was taller than them with blue skin and silver hair. She looked nothing like them, but they did not run or scream. They just watched, curious and cautious. Vila followed the signal to a small building near the water. A sign above the door showed a symbol she did not recognize, but she could feel the crystal's energy inside, warm and steady like a heartbeat. He was here, and he still had her. Vila stood outside the door for a long moment. She took a deep breath. Then she pushed the door open and stepped inside. The room was a clinic, she realized. Medical equipment lined the walls. A few humans sat in chairs, waiting to be seen. And behind a desk, writing in a notebook, was a man she had never forgotten. He looked older now. His black hair had streaks of gray. Lines had appeared around his eyes and mouth. But his eyes were the same, kind and gentle, and when he looked up and saw her, they went wide with shock. "Vila," his voice was barely a whisper. Vila felt tears forming in her eyes, did not cry. But in this moment, standing before the human who had changed her life, she could not stop them. She said, "I never forgot you." The notebook fell from his hands. He stood slowly, as if he was afraid she might disappear. "You came back," he said. "After all this time you came back." "I promised myself I would find you again." Vila's voice broke. "I am sorry it took so long." Moved around the desk. He walked toward her slowly, then faster until he was standing right in front of her. He reached out and touched her face, as if making sure she was real. "I kept your crystal," he said. "I kept it every day. I never knew what it meant, but I knew it mattered." Vila took his hand in hers. "It means everything," she said, "and now I am here to explain." Outside, the sun was setting over the ocean, but inside the small clinic, a new chapter was beginning. a chapter that had waited 10 years to be written. The patients in the clinic stared at them. Assistant, a young woman named Jinnah, dropped a tray of medical supplies. The metal instruments clattered on the floor, breaking the silence. "I should close the clinic," said softly, his eyes never leaving Vila's face. Vila nodded. "I can wait. I have waited 10 years. A few more minutes will not hurt." Turn to Jinnah. "Cancel the afternoon appointments. Tell everyone to come back tomorrow." Jinnah's mouth opened and closed several times. She looked at Vila, at her blue skin and silver hair, at her golden eyes that seemed to glow in the dim light of the clinic. Is that?" Jinnah stammered. "An old friend," said with a small smile. "Please, Jinnah, I need some privacy." Jinnah nodded quickly and began ushering the confused patients out of the clinic. They went reluctantly, looking over their shoulders at the alien woman standing in their doctor's office. Within 10 minutes, the clinic was empty. Locked the door and turned back to Vila. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. They just looked at each other, taking in all the changes that 10 years had brought. Vila saw the gray in his hair, the lines on his face, the slight stoop in his shoulders. Humans aged so quickly. It hurt her to see him changed, even though he was still the same man underneath. "You look well," she said. Laughed. It was a warm, familiar sound. "I look old, but thank you for lying." "Do not lie." "Then maybe you need glasses." He smiled, but there was something sad in his eyes. "You look exactly the same, like no time has passed at all." "For my people, 10 years is nothing. We live for centuries." "I know. I looked up your species after you left. I learned everything I could." He paused. "I wanted to understand you better." Vila felt something warm spread through her chest. "You studied my people." "I studied everything. Your history, your culture, your biology. I became an expert on them, or at least as much of an expert as a human can be." He shrugged. "I had a lot of free time, and I kept hoping you would come back." Vila reached out and took his hand again. His skin was warm against hers. "I am sorry I left without saying goodbye." "Why did you?" "Because I was afraid." The words came out before she could stop them. "I was afraid of what I felt. I was afraid of what it meant. I was a warrior, the commander of an army. I was not supposed to feel anything for anyone, especially not a human." Squeezed her hand. "And now?" "Now the war is over. I am free to feel whatever I want." She looked into his eyes. "And I feel that I never want to leave you again." His breath caught. "Vila, before you say anything, there is something you need to understand." Vila reached into his pocket, the pocket where she knew he kept the crystal. She pulled it out gently. It glowed brighter in her hand, pulsing with warm blue light. "This crystal," she said, "do you know what it is?" "You said it was important. That is all I know." Vila held the crystal between them. "Among my people, this is called every is born with one. It forms in our chest, near our heart, and it grows with us throughout our lives. It holds a piece of our spirit, our essence, our soul." Stared at the crystal with new understanding. "Your soul." "A piece of it, yes. The is the most precious thing it can possess. We never give it away. We never show it to anyone outside our closest family." Vila paused. "Except in one situation." "What situation?" "When it chooses a life mate." Vila's voice was soft but steady. "We give our to the person we choose to spend our life with. It is a bond deeper than marriage, deeper than any promise. It means that wherever you go, a piece of me goes with you. It means that you carry my heart literally in your hands." Looked down at the crystal. His face was pale with shock. "You gave me this 10 years ago," he said slowly. "Yes." "You barely knew me." "I knew enough." Vila moved closer to him. "I knew that you saved my life when you had no reason to. I knew that you were kind when kindness was dangerous. I knew that you saw me as a person, not as an alien or a threat or a curiosity. You saw me, the real me, underneath the armor and the title and the warrior's mask." I saw someone who was hurt and scared and far from home, said. I saw someone who needed help. And that is why I chose you. Vila placed her hand over pressing it against his palm. In all my years of life, in all my travels across the galaxy, I have never met anyone like you. Humans are supposed to be primitive, weak, insignificant. But you showed me that strength comes in many forms. And the strength you showed me, the strength of compassion and kindness, is something my people have forgotten. Was quiet for a long time. Vila could see him processing everything she had said, turning it over in his mind. I am just a small-town doctor, he finally said. I am not a warrior or a hero. I cannot fight battles or command armies. I am just a man who tries to help people. That is exactly what makes you special. But what about your people? What will they think of you choosing a human? Some will not approve, many will not understand, but I do not care. Vila lifted her chin. I am Fleet Admiral Vila. I won the war that freed my people. I have earned the right to make my own choices, and I choose you. Laughed, but it was not a mocking laugh. It was a laugh of wonder and disbelief. This is insane, he said. An alien fleet admiral, one of the most powerful people in the galaxy, wants to be with a human doctor from a small coastal town. It sounds like a story. Perhaps it is a story, Vila said. Perhaps it is the beginning of a new story, one that has never been told before. A story about two people from different worlds who found each other against all odds. Looked at her for a long moment. Then he smiled, a real smile that lit up his whole face. I kept waiting for you, he said. Every night I looked at the stars and wondered where you were. I told myself I was being foolish. I told myself you had forgotten me, but I could not stop hopping. I never forgot you, Vila said, not for one moment. So what happens now? Now we have a choice. Vila stepped back and gestured toward the window where her shuttle was visible in the distance. I have a ship. I can take you anywhere in the galaxy. I can show you wonders you have never imagined, or I can stay here with you on this small planet and learn what it means to live a human life. The choice is yours. Thought about it. He looked around his clinic, at the medical equipment, at the pictures on the walls, at the life he had built over 10 years. My patients need me, he said. This town needs a doctor. Vila's heart sank. I understand. But continued, that does not mean I cannot have both. Can you stay here for a while? Get to know this place, get to know me again. We do not have to rush into anything. We have time. Vila felt hope rising in her chest. You want me to stay? I have waited 10 years for you to come back. I am not letting you leave again without getting to know you properly. He reached out and touched her face gently. Stay with me, Vila. Let me show you why Earth is worth loving. Vila smiled. It was a rare expression for her, one that few people ever saw, but with it felt natural. I will stay, she said. The next few weeks were unlike anything Vila had experienced. She moved into a small house near the ocean, close to his clinic. Every morning, she walked to the clinic and watched him work. She saw him treat patients with kindness and patience, explaining their conditions and answering their questions. She saw children look at him with trust and old people look at him with gratitude. He was not a warrior. He did not fight or kill, but he saved lives in his own way, one patient at a time. Vila began to understand what he had tried to tell her 10 years ago. There were different kinds of strength. The strength to fight was important, but so was the strength to heal. The strength to destroy was powerful, but so was the strength to build. Humans had both kinds of strength. They could be warriors when they needed to be, but they could also be healers, builders, creators. They could be anything they chose to be. It was beautiful. Vila also explored the town. She walked through the market and watched humans buy and sell food, clothes, and small objects she did not understand. She sat in and tasted human drinks, coffee and tea that were bitter and strange but somehow pleasant. She walked on the beach and felt the sand between her toes and the waves against her legs. The humans were afraid of her at first. Her blue skin and silver hair made her stand out everywhere she went. Children pointed at her. Adults whispered behind her back. But slowly, they began to accept her. It started with small things. An old woman at the market smiled at her and offered her a piece of fruit. A child ran up to her and asked if she was a mermaid. A fisherman nodded at her when she walked past his boat. They did not fully understand her. They did not know where she came from or why she was there. But they accepted her anyway because she was friend and was one of them. It was such a human thing to do. One evening, Vila sat on the beach and watched the sun set over the ocean. The sky was painted in shades of orange and pink, and the water sparkled like liquid gold. "It is beautiful," Vila said. "It is," agreed. "I never get tired of it. My home world has nothing like this. We have mountains and storms, but not oceans, not sunsets." She paused. "I think I could learn to love this place." Took her hand. "I think you already do." Vila looked at him. His face was soft in the evening light, his eyes warm with something she was still learning to recognize. It was not just friendship. It was something deeper, something more. She said, "I need to tell you something." "What is it?" "Soon my people will send a delegation to Earth. They want to meet you." She hesitated. "They want to decide if you are worthy of a." His hand tightened on hers. "And if they decide I am not worthy, then they will demand that I take it back, that I break the bond." Vila's jaw clenched. "But I will not do it. No matter what they say, I will not take back my. You have carried it for 10 years. It is yours now, truly and completely." "What will happen if you refuse?" "I do not know. They might exile me. They might strip me of my title and rank. They might." She trailed off. "Might what?" "They might try to take you by force, to remove you as a threat to traditions." Was quiet for a moment, then he laughed. "Let them try," he said. "I may not be a warrior, but I am not afraid. If your people want to judge me, let them judge me. I will show them who I am, and they can decide for themselves." Vila stared at him. "You are not afraid." "I have faced disease, death, and disaster. I have lost patients I could not save and made choices no one should have to make." He shrugged. "A few aliens with opinions do not scare me." Vila felt something warm bloom in her chest. Pride, perhaps, or love. "You are remarkable," she said. "I am just human," he smiled. "Maybe that is enough." The delegation would arrive in 1 week. Until then, Vila would enjoy every moment she had with. Whatever came next, they would face it together. The delegation arrived on a morning filled with gray clouds and cold wind. Stood beside Vila on the beach, watching 3 shuttles descend from the sky. They were larger than Vila's shuttle, darker and more intimidating. They landed in a perfect line on the sand, and their doors opened with a hiss of steam. 12 stepped out. They were all tall and proud, with pale blue skin and golden eyes that glowed in the dim light. They wore black armor that covered them from neck to toe, and they moved with the controlled grace of trained warriors. At the front of the group was an ancient with gray skin and white hair. He walked slowly, supported by a floating staff, but his eyes were sharp and clear. Vila had described him too. This was Elder, one of the most powerful members of the High Council. Behind him walked a younger, tall and handsome, with a scar running down the left side of his face. Vila's second in command, his golden eyes fixed on with obvious hostility. Vila stepped forward and bowed her head slightly. "Elder, you honor me with your presence." Elder studied her for a long moment, then his gaze shifted to. "So this is the human," he said. His voice was deep and cold. "The one who carries your—" Did not look away from those ancient golden eyes. I am a healer, and I am honored to meet you." Made a sound of disgust. "He is small, weak. I could kill him with one hand." "But you will not," Vila said sharply. "He is under my protection." For now, eyes narrowed. The council has not made its decision yet. Elder raised one thin hand. Enough. We did not come here to fight, we came to understand. He looked at Vila. The council has many questions, Fleet Admiral. You have broken one of our oldest traditions. You have given your to an alien, a member of a primitive species we barely recognize as intelligent. You must explain yourself. I have already explained to the council. You explained from the safety of distance. Now we are here in person to see for ourselves. Elder turned back to, you will come with us to the ship. We will question you. We will test you. And we will decide if you are worthy of what Vila has given you. Felt a chill run down his spine, but he kept his voice steady. I will answer any questions you have. You do not have to do this, Vila said quietly. Yes, I do. He looked at her and smiled. I told you I was not afraid, I meant it. Vila hesitated, then she nodded. Very well, but I am coming with you. That is not permitted, said. The human must face the council alone. I am Fleet Admiral Vila. I have earned the right to be present. Not in this matter. The council has ruled. You are too close to the human. Your judgment cannot be trusted. Smiled, and there was no warmth in it. Do not worry, Admiral. We will return him to you when we are finished, if he survives. Vila's hands clenched into fists. For a moment, thought she might attack right there on the beach, but she controlled herself. If any harm comes to him, she said quietly, I will destroy you, all of you. Do you understand? Elder's expression did not change. We understand, but we are not here to harm him. We are here to judge him. There is a difference. Touched Vila's arm gently. I will be fine, trust me. She looked at him with something close to desperation in her golden eyes. I have already lost you once. I cannot lose you again. You will not lose me. He reached into his pocket and pulled out it glowed warm and bright in his palm. You gave me this. You trusted me with a piece of your soul. Now trust me to prove that I am worthy of it. Vila was silent for a long moment. Then she leaned forward and pressed her forehead against his, a gesture of intimacy that made the other stare. Come back to me, she whispered. I will. Stepped away from her and walked toward the delegation, seized his arm roughly and pulled him toward the lead shuttle. Did not resist. He looked back once and saw Vila standing alone on the beach, her silver hair blowing in the wind. Then the shuttle door closed, and he was gone. The inside of the ship was cold and dark. Metal walls curved around him, covered in strange symbols that pulsed with faint light. Was led to a small room and told to sit on a hard bench. 2 guards stood outside the door. He waited for hours. Finally, the door opened, and Elder entered. He was alone. He sat down across from and studied him with those ancient golden eyes. Do you know why we are here? Elder asked. To decide if I am worthy of Vila's. Partially, but also to understand something that our people do not understand. He leaned forward. Humans are primitive. Your technology is centuries behind ours. Your bodies are weak. Your lives are short. Your minds are limited. By every measure we use, you are inferior to us. Said nothing. And yet, Elder continued, Fleet Admiral Vila, one of the greatest warriors our race has ever produced, has chosen you. She has given you her the most sacred gift it can give. She has tradition, the council, everything she was taught to believe. I did not ask her to do any of those things. No, and that is what confuses us. Elder's eyes narrowed. Why you? What is special about you? What did you do to make her choose you over everyone else in the galaxy? Thought about the question carefully. I do not think I am special. I am just a doctor from a small town. I help people who are sick or hurt. That is all I have ever done. Then why did you help Vila? She was a stranger, an alien. She could have been your enemy. She was hurt. She needed help. That was enough reason for me. Elder was silent for a moment. Your people have a word, compassion. We do not have this word in our language. We have words for strength, honor, duty, victory, but not compassion. It means caring about others, even when you do not have to, even when there is no benefit to yourself. Why would anyone do such a thing? Smiled slightly. Because it is right, because helping others makes the world a better place, because we are all connected even if we do not realize it. Connected, Elder repeated. Explain. Every person I help might one day help someone else. Every act of kindness creates more kindness. It spreads like ripples in water. One person cannot change the galaxy alone, but 1,000,000 small kindnesses can change everything. Elder studied him for a long time, could not read his expression. You truly believe this, the elder said finally. You are not saying what you think we want to hear. You believe that kindness matters more than strength. I believe they are both important, but yes, I believe kindness matters more. Interesting, Elder stood. Wait here, the council will discuss what you have said. He left and was alone again. More hours passed, tried to rest, but the bench was hard and the room was cold. He thought about Vila, waiting on the beach. He thought about his clinic, his patients, his life. He thought about all the choices that had led him to this moment. The door opened again and this time entered. He was alone and his face was twisted with anger. The council is debating, said. Some of them are actually considering accepting you. Can you believe that? Accepting a human as the life mate of an admiral. Stayed seated. What do you want? I want you to understand something. Moved closer, looming over him. I have served Vila for 15 years. I have fought beside her in 100 battles. I have been loyal, devoted, willing to die for her, and she never even looked at me. I am sorry. You are not sorry, you are smug. You think you have won something. Grabbed by the front of his shirt and lifted him off the bench. But you have won nothing. You are a temporary distraction. Vila is confused by you, fascinated by your strangeness, but she will grow tired of you. She will realize that you are weak and useless, and when that day comes, I will be waiting. Looked into his golden eyes without flinching. You do not understand her at all. What? Vila is not fascinated by me because I am strange. She is fascinated by me because I showed her a different way to live, a way based on kindness instead of strength, on connection instead of isolation. His voice was calm. You have spent 15 years trying to impress her with your power, but power is not what she needs. She has enough power of her own. What she needs is someone who sees her as a person, not a weapon. His face went pale with rage. You know nothing. I know that she gave me her, and she did not give it to you. His hand tightened on his shirt. For a moment, thought the warrior would kill him right there. But then the door burst open and Vila stood in the entrance. Her eyes were blazing with fury, her hands crackling with some kind of energy that did not recognize. Behind her, 2 guards lay unconscious on the floor. Put him down, she said. Her voice was quiet, but it carried the weight of a thunderstorm. Released immediately. Admiral, I was just. You were just threatening the man I have chosen as my life mate, in violation of council law, in violation of my direct orders. Vila stepped into the room. Give me one reason why I should not kill you where you stand. Fell to his knees. Admiral, please, I was not going to hurt him. I was just trying to understand. Silence. Vila moved past him and took his hand. Are you hurt? No, I am fine. We are leaving now. But the council has made its decision. Vila smiled and there was fierce joy in her expression. They have accepted you. You have passed their tests. They have agreed to recognize our bond. Stared at her. What? Elder spoke to the council. He told them what you said about kindness, about connection, about compassion. He said that maybe they have been wrong about humans. Maybe we have been wrong about many things. But, said they were still debating. Vila looked down at with contempt. Lied, he wanted to scare you, to make you doubt yourself, to make you give up. She turned back to, but you did not give up. You faced him without fear. You spoke truth to power. Her golden eyes were soft. I am so proud of you. felt something release in his chest. He had not realized how scared he truly was until the fear was gone. "So what happens now?" he asked. "Now we go home." Vila squeezed his hand. "Your home, our home. The council has given us their blessing. We are free to live our lives as we choose." "And him," nodded Tord, who was still kneeling on the floor. Vila considered for a moment. "He will face discipline for his actions, but I will not destroy him. You have taught me that mercy is also a kind of strength." She pulled toward the door. As they passed, stopped. He said, "I am sorry that you are in pain. I hope one day you find what you are looking for." Looked up at him with shock and something that might have been shame. Walked out of the room with Vila, leaving the broken warrior behind. They returned to Earth together. The sun was setting when their shuttle landed on the beach, painting the sky in shades of gold and red. Vila stepped out onto the sand and took a deep breath. "It is strange," she said. "I have lived for 300 years. I have seen 1,000 worlds. But this small planet, this tiny beach, feels more like home than anywhere I have ever been." Stood beside her and took her hand. "Maybe home is not a place. Maybe home is a person." Vila smiled at him. It was a beautiful smile, warm and open and full of love. "You are wise for someone so young," she said. "I learned from a wise teacher." They stood together on the beach and watched the sun set over the ocean. The waves rolled in and out, steady and eternal. The sky turned from gold to orange to deep purple. And for the first time in her long life, Vila felt truly at peace. 6 months had passed since the council accepted. Vila had made good on her promise to stay on Earth. She had resigned her position as Fleet Admiral, passed her command to a worthy successor, and settled into life in the small coastal town. It was not an easy transition. She was a warrior, trained for battle and command. The quiet rhythms of human life felt strange to her at first. But slowly she learned to love the peace. She helped at the clinic, using her advanced medical knowledge to treat patients with conditions human doctors could not cure. She walked on the beach every morning and swam in the ocean every afternoon. She learned to cook human food, though she burned more meals than she served. She made friends with the townspeople, who had grown to accept the blue-skinned alien in their midst. And every night, she sat with and talked until the stars filled the sky. She told him stories of distant worlds and ancient battles. He told her stories of patients he had saved and patients he had lost. They shared their fears, their hopes, their dreams. They built a life together, one day at a time. Had never been happier. He had spent 10 years wondering if Vila would ever return, hopping against hope that she had not forgotten him. Now she was here, real and solid and his, and he could not imagine life without her. But not everyone was happy for them. Word had spread across the galaxy about Fleet Admiral Vila's choice. Some admired her courage. Others called her a traitor to her species. Political factions that had opposed her during the war saw an opportunity to attack her reputation. And then there had been stripped of his rank and exiled from the military for his actions against. But exile had not changed him. It had only made him angrier. He gathered followers among the who believed that humans were inferior and unworthy. He formed a group called the Purists, dedicated to protecting tradition from alien corruption. And he made Vila and his primary targets. At first, the Purists caused small problems. They spread rumors about Vila on communication networks. They filed formal complaints with the High Council. They sent threatening messages to Earth. Vila ignored them. They were nuisances, nothing more. She had faced real enemies in battle. A few angry traditionalists did not scare her. But then the Purists attacked. It happened on a quiet evening in late autumn. Was working late at the clinic, treating a child with a fever. Vila was at home, preparing dinner. Neither of them expected trouble. The first sign was a flash of light outside the window. Vila looked up and saw a shuttle descending through the clouds. It was not marked with any official insignia. It was a black ship, unmarked and unauthorized. Vila was on her feet instantly. Her warrior instincts, dormant for months, surged back to life. She grabbed the emergency communicator that connected her to her old ship, which still orbited Earth under the command of her successor. "This is Vila," she said. "Unknown vessel approaching my position. Send support immediately." Before she could say more, the shuttle landed outside her house. The door opened, and 5 warriors poured out. They wore black armor and carried weapons that glowed with deadly energy. At their head was Vila, he called out. "Come out peacefully. We have no quarrel with you. We only want the human." Vila stepped out of her house and faced them. She was unarmed, wearing simple human clothes. She looked nothing like the fleet admiral who had conquered star systems. But her eyes still burned with golden fire. "You will not touch him," she said. Laughed, "You cannot stop us. You are alone without weapons or armor. We are 5 warriors fully armed. The numbers are not in your favor. Numbers do not matter, only will." Brave words from a traitor. Raised his weapon. "Stand aside, Vila. I do not want to hurt you, but I will if I must." Vila did not move. "You are making a terrible mistake. Leave now, and I will forget this happened." "We are not leaving without the human. He has corrupted you, turned you against your own people. When he is dead, you will see clearly again. You will thank us." Vila felt something cold settle in her chest. Not fear, certainty. "Very well," she said softly. "You have chosen your path." She moved faster than the eye could follow. In 3 centuries of life, Vila had fought in more battles than she could count. She had killed thousands of enemies with her hands, her weapons, her mind. She had become fleet admiral not through politics or luck, but through pure martial skill. Had forgotten that. The first warrior fell before he could raise his weapon. Vila broke his arm, took his gun, and shot the second warrior in one fluid motion. The third warrior swung at her with a blade, but she ducked under his arm and struck his throat with her palm. He collapsed, choking. And the last warrior attacked together, fired his weapon, but Vila was not there anymore. She had moved behind the 4th warrior, using him as a shield. The energy blast struck him in the chest, and he went down. Then it was just and Vila, standing face to face. His eyes were wide with fear. He had seen Vila fight before, but always from a distance, always as an ally. He had never truly understood how dangerous she was. "Wait," he said. "Vila, please." She struck him once, a single blow to the chest that sent him flying backward. He crashed into the wall of her house and slid to the ground. Vila walked toward him slowly. The weapon in her hand hummed with energy. "You threatened the man I love," she said. Her voice was calm, but there was something terrible in it. "You tried to kill him. You came to my home with violence in your heart." Coughed blood. "Vila, we were trying to save you." "I do not need saving. I need you to understand something." She crouched beside him and pressed the weapon against his forehead. "If you ever come near again, I will destroy you. I will hunt down every member of your pathetic group and end them one by one. I will burn your names from history and scatter your ashes across dead stars. Do you understand me?" Nodded frantically. "Good." Vila stood and threw the weapon aside. "Now get off my planet." At that moment, came running around the corner. He had heard the commotion from the clinic and came as fast as he could. He stopped short when he saw the 5 fallen warriors and Vila standing over. "Vila," he said, "are you hurt?" "No." She turned to face him, and the coldness in her eyes melted into warmth. "I am fine." He ran to her and pulled her into his arms. She held him tightly, breathing in his scent, feeling his heart beat against her chest. "I thought I might lose you," she whispered. "You will never lose me." Behind them and his surviving warriors limped toward their shuttle. The reinforcements from Vila's old ship would arrive soon and take them into custody. The purest threat was broken. But as held Vila in his arms, he realized something important. The galaxy was not going to leave them alone. There would always be enemies, always be threats, always be people who could not accept that a human and a had chosen each other. "Vila," he said, "I have been thinking." "About what?" "About us, about the future." He pulled back and looked into her golden eyes. "I cannot keep you hidden away on Earth forever. You are too important, you have too much to offer, and there are people out there who need to see what we have built." Vila frowned. "What are you saying?" "I am saying that maybe it is time for me to see the stars," smiled. "You showed me your world, you introduced me to your people, but I have only seen a small piece of it. I want to see more. I want to show the galaxy that humans are not primitive or weak. I want to stand beside you as your equal and prove that our bond is real." Vila stared at him. "You would leave Earth, your clinic, your patients." "I trained Jinna well. She can handle the clinic. And I am not saying I want to leave forever, but I think I need to see what is out there. I need to understand your world the way you have come to understand mine." Vila was silent for a long moment. Then she laughed, a bright and joyful sound that echoed across the quiet evening. "You never stop surprising me. Is that a yes?" "Yes," she kissed him long and deep. "Yes, we will go to the stars together. I will show you wonders you have never imagined, and together we will show the galaxy what it means to be human." 1 month later, stood on the command deck of a starship and watched Earth grow small in the... He felt a pang of sadness at leaving his home behind, but also a thrill of excitement at what lay ahead. Vila stood beside him, her hand in his. She was dressed in her old Fleet Admiral uniform, not because she had reclaimed her rank, but because she wanted the galaxy to know who she was. "Ready?" she asked. "Ready." The ship jumped to faster-than-light speed, and the stars blurred into lines of light. They traveled across the galaxy together, visiting worlds and meeting leaders. Everywhere they went was met with suspicion and hostility. Humans were still seen as primitive, unworthy of respect. But did not let it discourage him. He showed the same kindness and compassion that had won Vila's heart. He treated sick who had never met a human before. He listened to their stories and shared his own. He proved, one person at a time, that humans were more than their limitations. Slowly, attitudes began to change. Elder was the first to publicly declare that humans deserved respect. Other council members followed. Trade agreements were negotiated. Diplomatic relations were established. Earth was no longer seen as a primitive backwater, but as a world with potential. And through it all, and Vila stood together. They became symbols of a new way of thinking, proof that different species could find common ground, that love could bridge any gap, that strength and compassion were not opposites but partners. Years passed, grew older, his hair turning gray and his body slowing down, but Vila stayed by his side through every moment. She knew that human lives were short, that she would outlive him by centuries, but she did not let that knowledge create distance between them. Every day was a gift, every moment was precious, and she was determined not to waste a single one. On the night of their 10th anniversary, they sat together on the bridge of the ship and looked out at the stars. "Do you ever regret it?" asked, "giving up your position, staying with me?" Vila smiled and squeezed his hand. "Never, not for one moment. I am an old man now. I cannot give you much more time. You have given me everything." She looked at him with eyes full of love. "Before you I was a weapon, a tool of war. I did not know how to feel, how to connect, how to love. You showed me all of that. You made me whole." Leaned his head against her shoulder. "I love you, Vila." "I love you too. I will love you for the rest of my life." She paused. "And when you are gone, I will carry your memory with me wherever I go. I will tell your story to everyone I meet. I will make sure the galaxy never forgets the human who changed everything." "That sounds like a heavy burden." "No," she kissed his forehead gently. "It is an honor." They sat together in silence, watching the stars drift by. Outside the ship, the universe stretched on forever, vast and beautiful and full of possibility. Somewhere out there were worlds they had not yet visited, people they had not yet met, adventures they had not yet begun. But right now, in this moment, none of that mattered. All that mattered was the warmth of his hand in hers, the sound of his breathing, the feeling of his heart beating beside her own. All that mattered was love. And love was enough.